Welcome to another episode on our channel. Initially, my plan recently was to do updates to our Tombstone characters, and in between each figure, put a how-to video just to keep interest alive for people who weren't great fans of Tombstone, the movie Tombstone. But that didn't go as planned because there was too much partying around our block and we couldn't film anything. So we had to go with what we had already filmed, which were our Tombstone characters. So you've seen Val Kilmer, who played Doc Holliday. You've seen Bill Paxton, who played Morgan Earp, and Kurt Russell, who played Wyatt Earp. We haven't shown you Virgil Earp yet or Johnny Ringo with the updates for those two characters, but we will get there. Today we can do a how-to video. So we'll pause and I'll tell you a little bit about what this video is about. Here's a problem I've noticed, that with 1/6 scale figures, we have statues and we have articulated figures. Now, pros and cons to each one. Statues are really cool, especially some of the companies that are really good at making statues, like, for example, Kotobukiya, other companies and so forth. They can capture a moment in time, movement that is action-filled, fluidity in motion, so to speak, poetry in motion, I like to call it. They're really good at capturing those things that 1/6 scale articulated figures cannot do, but you have to love the pose, right? So one of the reasons why some of us are very much attracted to 1/6 scale articulated figures is that we compose them ourselves. And some companies are really good at making terrific head sculpts, fantastic outfits. You're just awestruck with the beauty of the figure, the head, the details to the face, the outfit, and so forth. But sometimes these outfits are so tailored to the figure that you can barely move the figure, and you cannot capture dynamic poses that you want to. So I thought about that over the last few days, and I thought, well, maybe we don't have to have all sorts of contorted movements to capture action. If we're creative, maybe we can come up with things that can touch us in certain ways, tell a story, communicate emotion, communicate motion and action without, again, a lot of contorted poses. So my challenge to myself is to try to do that in an interactive sort of way in this episode, taking two characters who, by virtue of who they are and the outfits that they wear, are going to be limited in terms of articulation, and see what I can come up with. So we'll pause again and I'll try to get a scene set up, and hopefully after I complete that one, I can push myself and do something even better and then come up with a third one. I forgot to mention what two figures I was going to use for these interactive poses. The first figure is the Dark Knight, Batman, played by Christian Bale, and Catwoman, played by Anne Hathaway. We are back, and again, I'm starting with the back of Batman, but I'm not going for action-packed, totally action-packed movement here. Fluidity and motion. I just want to communicate some sort of story, some semblance of movement, despite the limited articulation. So we'll go slowly around. I used Batman's stand here and only one stand. So as we're coming up on this side, we will notice that her right hand is in his left hand. He's on the top step. She's on the second step down. You can see his head slightly turned. And his right hand, her left hand are slightly up, but they're still holding each other and looking at each other. She's looking up. He's looking down with his head tilted towards her. So we'll pause now and get a tighter close-up so you can see more details in this particular pose. We're going to start with his back to you again, and then just slowly move them around so you can capture more details on this closer view. You can see her hand is resting in his left hand. And as we see his face a bit better, you can see the tilt in his head as he's looking down at her. And their hands are interlocked here as well, but slightly higher than the other side. She's looking up. And you'll see that better right about here. And then I want to take you back to the pose that I like the most, which is this one right here. Yeah. What I love about this beginning position is that his head is tilted and he's looking down at her. So as we turn them ever so slightly, you will see that she is returning the gaze and looking up at him. But my overall favorite position with this particular pose for me is the most emotive one, right here. I love this position especially. I know I talked about doing 3 different poses with these 2 characters, but I have fallen in love with this pose. And I am so deathly afraid that if I repose them and then try to recapture this pose that I have fallen in love with, I may not be able to get it back. So I'm being very selfish right now. I don't want to mess this one up. So I think, and I apologize in advance for doing this, but I think I'm just going to stop here and pick a couple other characters to try to do another very interesting pose that takes something another level up. Forgive me. All right. I just don't want to lose this one. So I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you have, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, everyone, please forgive me and have a great day.